So in parametric test, we assume there is normality. We assume that the data is distributed as a normal graph. That is the simple difference. Any other sort of distribution, you had seen that they all kinds of distribution. Remember, I had given you the presentation in which all the other forms of distributions were there, right? So for any
Yes,
other
sir.
form of distribution, you will assume non-parametric test, usually for the ordinal data. But when the data is continuous and normally distributed, that is, it fulfills all the criteria of normal curve, then you can apply the parametric test, right? The uh, the test rigor, or the test results are always considered better for parametric test. If you are applying parametric test, that means there is normal distribution and the validity of the test is always higher than non-parametric test. All right. So what are the types of tests that we can do? So we can compare the mean of two populations as we have discussed that day. What sort of graph am I drawing on your screen?
Whisker box plot.
Box whisker plot, right? So this is your median interquartile range, right? So can we compare these kind of two different population with certain tests? So just I'll give you an example that, like we had discussed previously, that the mean blood pressure of three places, Delhi, Kolkata, and Bardhaman, right? So if we are to compare, take three samples from these places and compare, we can do it. That can we say that to be the difference of means? We will have a mean blood pressure after drawing out the sample, doing all our tests, collecting data, finalizing our frequency distribution graph. From that we draw the from that we do the mean, and from that we do the standard deviation. So finally we have the mean and standard plus minus standard deviation for Delhi population, Kolkata population, and Bardhaman population. So we need to compare that, right? So that can be done with when two means are there, we are comparing two independent population, one from Kolkata and one from Delhi. So we can do it using student t-test. Got it? When is student t-test applied? We are comparing two independent population, and we are comparing their means. This is conceptual, absolutely conceptual, and it's a very easy way of getting your marks. Where to apply which test. Second is, if it is paired, that we check the mean blood pressure of, let's say, one population of one ward in Kolkata only, right? We give them certain medication, we give them certain lifestyle changes, and after 6 months, we check their blood pressure again. That time, we can apply which one? Paired student t-test. Right? Got it? Two types of tests we have discussed here. One is student t-test, paired student t-test. Fine? Achha. Next comes is, if there are three or more, like we discussed Kolkata, Delhi, and Bardhaman, right? We will use ANOVA. This is called analysis of variance. ANOVA. This is your third test. Fair? Fair? Good with you all? Yes, no, something? So we have discussed 3 tests till now. Okay.
Sure.
Next is when our data is a non-parametric test we are using. We do not have the normal distribution. That is lacking. Hence, we are sticking to medians, right? Median. So in case of median, if you are doing with 2 medians, the difference of 2 medians, we are doing the Mann-Whitney test. 3 or more medians, classical values. Okay, these are name of the test. Do remember. Next is difference of proportion. In which case we are doing the difference of proportion? Which kind of data?
Qualitative data.
Right? So when our difference of proportion is to be estimated, if the sample size is large, that is more than 5. If it is greater than 5, the sample size, we do chi-square test. Right? If it is less than 5, this is a variant of the chi-square test that is called Fisher's exact test. Okay? Fisher's exact test. So this is the 6th, this is the 7th. Right? Lastly, comparing two continuous variable. We are comparing, let's say, blood pressure with height. What we do is a correlation test. Correlation test. How much the blood pressure increases with increase in height. That is the correlation. How much that comes. We do a Spearman correlation test in case of non-parametric, and in parametric we do Pearson. These are the 2 forms. Please remember, non-parametric, parametric. Done. This covers all the tests that are required. We have not dived deep into each test, right? But since this can come in your NEET PG exams, we have covered it. Abhishek, Dipto, Mehrunisa.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Oh, sir.
Seems you are confused. These are beyond understanding. Difficult to understand for you.
Sir, I understood the names and like the where they are used, and that is it.
What else do you? What else is required?
Sir, I don't know if anything else is required.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That for your level, you do not need to know the details of each test. What you need to know is where it is used, right? As a doctor, you need to know where it is being used, and if it is being used, you are reading a paper, you are reading certain journal submissions, right? So that case, you will understand. Okay, these 2 means are compared with student t-test. These 2 medians are compared, and hence they have used Mann-Whitney test here. All right, these are just the basics of it. the more important parts have been covered all in the other classes. Sampling was the last most important topic discussed. This is just to give an understanding of how actually biomedical research works. So you collect the data, you design your research in such a way that you collect the specific data. From that data, you arrange the numbers, you arrange the frequency distribution table, you visualize the data. From that, you draw out inferences regarding the central tendency, the dispersion of the data, and after that, you can compare two sets of data, two or more sets of data, whatever you have with you, right? So that is how a research is done. Finally, when these all things are done, you have the data, the statistics, everything. You compile, you write down your observation, and finally, you have a paper that you can publish in a journal. That completes your journey.
Okay, sir.
In
Right?
the dependent parts, the parametric dependent part, so is it in the same setting? That's why it's called dependent.
Which one?
So in that the dependent paid teammates, if there is teammates and it's a dependent one, so does it mean that it's done in a population which is in the similar setting, like in the same setting? That's why they're dependent.
No, dependent is the variable. If you had, how do I tell you what is dependent? Dependent variable is, let's say you are measuring the blood pressure and the height. So your assumption is that with with the height, increase in height, the blood pressure increases, or the increase in weight, your blood pressure increases. So blood pressure is dependent on what? The height
I
in this case, or the weight, whichever variable you take. So one variable becomes your dependent that you are trying to find out, and the variable which you are trying to observe is your independent, right? So that
right, sir.
kind of a variable is dependent variable, and that will be measured using paired student t-test.
Yes, sir.
Simple enough. Simple enough for you. I hope you have a certain understanding that if you are trying to do one research based on a research question which you have followed the finer criteria and you have framed it, and then you have selected what are the data collection methods that you are trying to uh, you know apply, and then after application of data collection method, you gather the data. After gathering the data, you refine the data, form a table, you form a visualizing graph or a visualizing diagram of the data, then take out the statistics of the data, the mean, median, mode, the standard deviations, then you can compare the data, right? And based on this comparison, these tests, you will have certain statistics which you will combine, draw out inferences, and say, okay, fine. Based on my observation, I can say that all the gestational diabetics, the percentage of gestational diabetics in Bardhaman is such and such person, 6 to 7%. And if you have the data of, let's say, another neighboring district, Murshidabad, is such and such person, and there is statistical difference between them or not, that you can do with this hypothesis testing, right? The null hypothesis would be there is no difference between the percentage of diabetics in Murshidabad and Bardhaman, and then you prove it using the statistics, right? You test the power, you test the level of significance, and you are statistically you are correct, right? That's where you want to be as a researcher. Merunisa, Dipto,
Yes, sir.
any questions?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Any questions? Can you see the example on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Make sense to you?
Yes.
So the first one is mean difference of continuous and normally distributed, simply independent t-test, right? Pre and post intervention, the same group after uh, giving a drug, 6 months you observe and then you test again. That paired that Akanksha was asking, that for that we do paired t-test, right Akanksha? The dependent one that you are asking,
Yes, sir.
right? Next is comparing the percentage of smokers. So we are comparing the percentage between two population, test of proportion. So you use chi-square, right? We are comparing the BMI category with the level of hypertension. That is categorical data. We use chi-square. If we are chi-square proportions, right? Median hospital stay of 3 ICUs. So we are comparing difference in median of 3. So which one would we use based on the table? 3 or more median, Rascal Wallis, right? So what you will get in your MCQ question is sort of these kind of questions. There are, this has been done, this has been done, this has been done. What are the tests to be used? Fine. You get this question correct, and who's stopping you from cracking the NEET PG with flying colors, right?